Hey guys, it's Dawn here, and today I have a question is how do I secure my porta-grazers? So here I'm showing you, but in addition, I also want you to see how he's turning it. Now this one is too full. I don't like that inner pan so high up, but Andy fed today and he loves to just fill it up. It's just too, look, it's coming out the top. But yeah, that one's too full, but you know, whatever. But look at his eye. I know there's something, there's a haze sticking in his eyeball right now, but hopefully he'll turn it. But look at his facial expression and everything, because this is the most important part. It doesn't really matter how you're feeding or whatever, okay? That's not the point. The point is how is your horse feeling when he's eating? Is he angry eating, okay? Or is he like this? You see how his eyes are half closed? He's in a zen. and like what I've said before, if he is spending the majority of his time eating, that means the majority of the time he is in this type of mindset, this type of attitude, this type of feeling in himself, then he's gonna be overall much happier than a horse that is angry eating. You see what I mean? Look at his eye, okay? And this isn't something I can fake, right? All right, so, and yes, I'm sorry. This ties into how I'm securing the porta-grazers, because I wonder if the problem is that you're not securing it properly, or like why do you need to secure it that well? I have a very basic system for securing my porta-grazers. As you can see, it's just 2 bungees. I always hesitate recommending bungees around horses. Bungees have a danger, all right? So be aware of that. But Lasser is not one to mess with things, and why would he? Look, he's too busy in his zen eating and being happy, right? My system is just I have 2 hooks. I'm trying to do this without disturbing him. You can see that it's just a very simple little hook. Now the hook on the wall, right? That one is just metal. I would recommend eye bolts, so there's no pointies. I turn mine downwards, but if your horses want to mess with things or whatever, if you want to eliminate any risks, maybe an eye bolt is a better choice. And then the hook part to the bungee itself, those come in plastic and metal, exposed metal. So I would pick plastic, and then I'm not sure if you can tell, but this bungee is not stretched taut. Okay, so I don't want a lot of stored energy in that bungee for several reasons. 1, the bungee will last longer if it's not always stretched out, and 2, it can be dangerous. That much stored energy, if it finally releases, it'll go flying. This one, if it finally releases, it's just gonna drop. There's barely any, you can see this is actually kind of saggy. It's barely on there, but it does help just to hold those in place. Let me see. Oh, they have different types of bungees. There are the ones that are big and flat, and they're big and fat like this, and they're flat, which is nice because that'll lay across there. But I think those ones only come with the exposed metal hooks on the end, which is why I think I started using those at first, and then I switched them out to when I found these ones with the plastic hooks. But if your horse is breaking through a bungee, then that's a red flag to me. So why would your horse be breaking through? Now, if the porta-grazer is a new concept to him, if this free feeding is a new concept, then they might be still angry eating, and they might be in that frenzy, like, oh my gosh, I have all the food here. I have to eat all the food. I must eat all the food right now. If they're in that type of a frenzy, then yeah, you're going to hear a lot. They're going to beat the shit out of your porta-grazers because they just want the food now and all that. It's kind of like letting a starving man loose in a buffet. You know, he's not gonna eat nice and polite and orderly like with a fork. He's gonna freaking rip that buffet apart, which is what your horse will go through when it's transitioning from structured feeding to free feeding. So in that transition time, I would secure the grazers better, and I might secure it with making a strap out of cloth or out of feed bags. You can sew big old straps. You can even take the feed bag and make a strap this big all the way around. Just make 2 little hoops at the end and then hook it, secure it somehow to the eye bolts. Now this one, the hook is kind of forward towards us, but you can tuck them in so that the whatever strap you're going to use is going to be behind the grazer, all right? And I would recommend that. Those ones are all tucked in, and I think, oh no, this one isn't tucked in. This one's right up here. But like I said, if I had a horse that you know, maybe very accident prone, maybe in a manic, in a frenzy or whatever, when you're in a manic, you're going to be more accident prone, right? Because you're in an extreme zone. I would put that eye bolt way back here or something so that this wraps around, or some, just so that this isn't so exposed and in the way. But yeah, we've had this for, I don't know, over 10 years, and I haven't had any issues, but Lasser is also calm. Now, when I first transitioned him, he was not calm. He absolutely went through a frenzy, and he broke his inner pans. So that's another recommendation that I would do is, I'd say, okay, PortaGrazer recommends that you use a 3.5-inch hole for regular horses, and their 4-inch holes are for their draft horses. I say no. I say get the 4-inch holes for transitioning. If you really want to go back to a 3.5-inch hole, go ahead afterwards. But at first, when they go through that frenzy, if you try to stop that frenzy, that's what you're gonna get, a broken pan, and that's $80 right there. Now, chances are, even with the 4-inch hole, you're still going to get a broken pan, but it's not, it's just not as much. Now, another thing you can do is also for the first week or 2, maybe don't even put the pan in at all. Let them just eat out of there and let them calm themselves first. After they have settled their gut, after they have adjusted, and after they get secure, they start feeling that sense of security of always having hay there, their manic will subside and they will calm down. And then what you want to eventually get to is something like this, where Lasser always has hay in here, and oftentimes, I mean, he doesn't even eat that much anymore. You know, he is completely self-regulated, and he has this really, oh, he's gonna look at me because I'm talking. I know, Lasser. This is why I don't like messing with him when, aw. I'm trying to quiet down. He's like, Mom, you're so loud. Yeah, see, if I'm quiet, you see how he, now if you watch horses graze, you know, normally, then they do this. Grazing should be a very zen thing for them. And so it should be zen when they're eating, you know, period. Angry eating is a big big problem that no one is recognizing how big of a problem it is. But if your horse is angry eating, it's because they felt like they've been starving for so long. And you might not think that they're starving because, you know, hey, technically you're alive, you got good body condition, technically I'm feeding you the proper amount as said by scientists. But can you imagine if we ate the proper amount set aside by scientists? Just look at serving sizes recommended on any packaging. You know, it is surprisingly a lot tinier amount of food than we actually eat and what we actually prefer to eat, you know. So but anyways, I'm getting loud again. I'm sorry. Oh, and people that go, oh, horses with whites in their eyes are crazy. Do you see that? He always has whites in his eyes. That's just how he's born. Now, I'm not saying he's not crazy. So maybe he's the worst example in the world. But I'm just saying, you know, he always has whites in his eyes. But anyways, that's how I secure. So hopefully that helps. I'm sorry, I was just trying to answer one simple question. How do you secure your porta-grazers? And then I launched into this whole thing. But that's because I'm also looking at it like, you know, when your horse gets to this level, you don't need to worry about securing it so well. So securing it has two different things. One, how to secure it, and two, you know, why does it need to be secured that much? You know, there's different levels of secure, right? This is how I do it. Hopefully that helps. And just be careful, be wary of the safety, the risks of using a bungee around horses. Maybe make a strap instead out of cloth or feed bags, and using an eye bolt or something like that. But that should secure it just fine. And help teach them how to turn that pan. Sit there with, you know, maybe after the 2 weeks of no pan, then put the pan with the 4-inch holes in. If you already have a 3.5-inch hole, no biggie. I mean, it's not a biggie. I'm just saying if you haven't ordered one yet, you know, that's just a recommendation. And then sit there and help them eat and help them turn it, just to show them. And then eventually they will figure it out. And, you know, expect that they might ruin a pan or so. But once they get to where they understand it and everything, then everything will be really good. All right, so there you go, and hope that helps, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye, mister. Oh.